Student athletes, you know what time it is. It's Mike Waters, Phase 1 Elite, right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So today, I'm gonna help not only the student athletes, but more importantly, the parents. I want you to understand supplementation, at least have a general base idea of what's good for your athlete to take and what maybe your athlete should not be taking. Because I know the kids are gonna find anything that looks cool, anything that they see a commercial or a friend is taking, and they're gonna want it, right? And as a parent, you always wonder, man, should you be taking that? You know, is that a supplement that's good for your age, for where you're at? It's hard because there's so many supplements out there and so many options. So I'm just gonna narrow it down. So today I'm gonna talk to you about 5 supplements that I think can be very beneficial to student athletes. And just to kind of lay a little bit of groundwork, this is for athletes that I would say are right around 13 to 14 years old. So basically that transition, getting ready to go into high school, where it's become very important that they're building muscle and that they're gaining weight and things along those lines, depending on what sport and what position. So I'm gonna just give you what I consider the 5 that I would say are a go-to. 5 that I think are okay for most athletes, unless there's some other, unusual circumstance or something like that needs to be factored in. This is just more of a blanket, general top 5 that I'm gonna give you just to help clarify what you and your athlete should be doing. So with that said, let's get right into it. Number 1, I call it the foundation. Number 1 is multivitamin. So a multivitamin is going to be beneficial. And I know a lot of people think multivitamin, but if I'm eating the right food, I'm going to get all the nutrients and all the vitamins that I need. Very true. Now ask yourself, how many high school athletes are eating the right food consistently throughout the course of the day? Most are not. So in a lot of cases with young athletes, there's a deficit, meaning something is missing on that nutrient scale. It could be a macro, it could be a micro, but it's something that is missing. So here's how I look at multivitamin. I look at it as more security. Yep, you may consume enough vitamin C, for example, but if you're not, or if you're deficient, that multivitamin is going to cover it. And if it's over, it's still going to be fine. And I get it. It's not a waste of money. It's still insurance. So a multivitamin is something that I would recommend for all athletes. And there's different variations of it. I would like, more of an athletic based supplement personally, but even your simple, Walgreens, CVS multivitamins will be beneficial for your student athlete, especially if you know your athlete is not eating all of the proper food that they should be consuming, if that makes sense. Number 2, let's keep going. Protein. I get so many questions from parents about protein. Hey, my kid wants to start, drinking protein shakes. I don't think they should do it. I don't think they're ready for it. And I always ask why. What's the gap? Like, why do you not feel like it's beneficial? And I think a lot of times parents just don't really understand protein. And I'm gonna keep it as simple as possible. We all know protein is the building block for muscle, correct? So anytime your athlete is training, whether it be practice, whether it be strength training, weight room, places like Phase 1 Elite, you're breaking down muscle tissue. So this is why protein becomes very, very valuable, because we're actually replenishing that, and the protein shakes are already broken down so they're easier to digest. So that way your athlete can start the rebuilding process after any muscle damage or any injuries or anything along those lines. So here's what I would like to say. When it comes to protein, I prefer the simple base. A whey protein is gonna usually be pretty sufficient. There are some isolate proteins that are a little more advanced. I don't think they're totally necessary for young athletes, but I would just do a basic whey or a blend, because the next thing you're gonna get to is when you get to the store and you're looking for protein, they're gonna have 1,000 different choices and you have to determine which one is the best for you. So I would say a whey or a blend. Here's the other key. In my experience, there are studies that show, a little bit more, a little bit less, but in my experience, a protein shake should not exceed 30 to 40 grams of protein. It should be right in that 30 to 40 window. Yeah, if you have a bigger child, depending on the position, depending on the height, the weight, maybe you could bump that up a little bit. But just as far as digestion and your body actually utilizing it, I like to stay in that 30 to 40 range with my protein. Now, last piece to the protein puzzle. A lot of students are not eating enough protein in general, right? A lot of carbs, Takis, snacks, chips, pizza, they're doing all that, but at the end of the day, are they getting enough protein to not only sustain all the work and all the activity, but to actually build and grow and continue to develop to be better athletes? So that's just another reason why protein supplementation can be very, very beneficial for a majority of athletes. And that's whether you're trying to gain, whether you're trying to lose, or whatever that looks like. Last thing I'll leave you with in terms of protein. I'm not a fan of the mass gainers. I'm just not. I'm personally not a fan. If you choose to have your child on a mass gainer because you're thinking, oh, she needs or he needs to gain weight and we're gonna do the mass gainer and it's, 2,500 calories in one serving and all these crazy extreme numbers, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen in a nutshell. Your child's gonna spend a lot of time in the bathroom, in the restroom, stuck, trying to figure out what's going on with their body. It's because our bodies typically cannot process that much at one particular time. So a mass gainer is great if you're a bodybuilder. If you're 5'8", 260 pounds and you're freaking wider than this room, then yeah, it probably will work for you. Your body will probably be able to process that. But for a student athlete, I personally prefer you stay away from the mass gainers and let's just stick to good quality protein. Now, the next one is going to be a little bit controversial, and I get it, I understand it. Everyone's entitled to your opinions. I'm sure I'll hear them in the comments, and I might reply, might not, depends on what you say, or depends on your approach to what you say. Creatine. Creatine is a big one. Every young athlete I know, especially in football, a lot of basketball players are like, I gotta get on some creatine. And parents go crazy. What is creatine? Why do you need creatine? A lot of parents still aren't familiar with what creatine even is. So I'm gonna give you the simplified version because creatine is on my top 5. Here's the benefit of creatine. Creatine is basically beneficial to those athletes that don't consume a lot of red meat, which is most of us, even myself. I don't consume a lot of red meat throughout the course of the week, so that's where that creatine supplement becomes very, very beneficial. So when it comes to overall hydration of your muscle, overall strength and building and actually endurance, creatine plays a pretty big role in that. So previous generations that ate a lot of red meat, then creatine probably wasn't a big deal because it's found in the meat so often, depending on what kind of grade you're getting or what kind of food you're processing or you're eating. So in today's day, athletes are just not consuming a lot of red meat, which is fine. Totally okay with that. But if you're not, then I would recommend creatine being that supplement that you add. And it's very simple. No flavor. Put a little scoop in 5 grams into your actual protein shake. Good to go. You got your creatine for the day, which is going to help that building block and help you build some more muscle and going to help you get stronger. Now, my next one. This one, I put it on the list because I think it could be very valuable. However, I would say the other 4, because I still have one after this, are going to be more beneficial, but this is one that it wouldn't be a bad idea to incorporate. And this is BCAA, which is base chain amino acids. So amino acids are basically your protein when it's broken down. So if it's already broken down, it's in the BCAA form, typically it's going to be readily available to your body even faster, right? So you can eat a meal, or you can do a supplement of BCAA immediately after a workout and start the repair process because it's already digested and ready for your body to consume. Now, here's the thing. If we're doing the protein, we're doing the creatine, we're doing everything else, you may not need a BCAA. But I'm the type that I'm saying, okay, if I'm trying to maximize it, I'm gonna go ahead and layer that on top. And then here's another cool thing about the BCAAs. You could actually sip those throughout the day. So that way you're kind of replenishing as you're going. And if you have a young athlete that's like I was, and you got that sweet tooth, sometimes we just want something that tastes good, something that's sweet. A lot of the BCAA formulas are very, they got strawberry and all these different flavors. So it could be something that's actually gonna taste good that your athlete's going to drink, which is gonna be a lot more beneficial than soda or whatever else they may choose at school. So just another option, BCAA. The last one, my number 5, pre-workout. This is probably the most, I would say, popular one outside of maybe protein. Protein and pre-workout are pretty close. Here's why I hear a lot about pre-workout. Everyone is afraid of it, and rightfully so. There's been a number of athletes that have literally, I'm talking cardiac arrests. I'm talking about athletes that have physically died on the court, on the football field, on the soccer field because of overconsumption of stimulants, caffeine, things like that. You already have adrenaline as an athlete. You're already, you're young, you're motivated, you're ready to go. So do you really need a pre-workout? So the reason it's on my list is not because it's mandatory. It's not because I'm saying every athlete that watched this, go get your pre-workout. That's not what I'm saying. Here's why it's on my list. Because if you're gonna choose to take a pre-workout, which so many young athletes do, C4, all these crazy extreme ones that have your heart, palpitating and going crazy, and you're just all fluttery, you're shaky, and they think it's cool. It's really not, because it's really overloading your nervous system, which could create a lot of damage in the long run. So the reason it's on my list is because I want you to be smart about it. So if you choose to take a pre-workout, it needs to be a non-stimulant pre-workout. That way you'll get the B12, you'll get the other things that are in there that are gonna give you that little energy boost, gonna increase your focus, but you do not need to overload your system, especially a high school athlete. You don't need to overload your system with a bunch of stimulants to get through a workout. That's not the answer. Number one, I said earlier, very rough on your neuromuscular system. Number two, it's also gonna force you to lift weight and do things that you probably aren't necessarily ready to do yet because you have that stimulant. So now we're increasing the chance of injury. So just be patient. Let's build, let's generate more muscle, let's grow over time, but let's be very smart. So if you decide that you want to take a pre-workout, please select one that is a non-stimulant. So with that, here's my recap. Number one is our multivitamin. We got to get that in. That's the security. Number two, we got to get the protein, because obviously we know our athletes are not eating as much as they should and as often as they should and quality like they should. Creatine, especially my athletes that need to get stronger, need to build some muscle. That creatine is going to be very, very beneficial. Then we're going to get into our BCAA, which is our base chain amino acid, which is going to be very beneficial as well. And then of course we have our pre-workout. So that's my top 5. Now, before I let you go, I just want to give you a little bit of background. I'm glad you made it to this point of the video, and here's why. I've been doing this for 20 years. So since 2003, I've been working with student athletes, dominantly high school athletes. And throughout that 20-year, I've really done a lot of research and development to figure out exactly what's the best for young athletes. What supplements they should be taking, how much of it, what quality, what should be in the product. Because I know when you go to GNC or NutriShop or whatever store you shop at, you get to the protein section and there's 800 choices. You get to the pre-workout, there's 1,000 choices. So it can become very confusing, not only for you, but even for your student athlete. And now they're just gonna go off what they hear or what someone else is taking. So what we've done, we've taken everything to the next level, and I need you guys to visit the website, phase1sups.com. These same 5 are on that website. So I've simplified it, narrowed it down, made it very simple, made sure the right quality, the right ingredients for your student athlete are in each one of these supplements, and it's gonna be available and can be shipped anywhere in the world. So this is for athletes. This is something that I've done in the building here at Phase One for 20 plus years, and now we're online to where I can help you put together your supplement stack and your package to make sure your athlete gets to the next level. And that's what it's about. It's about staying healthy, improving, getting better, bigger, faster, stronger, all that good stuff. And one way to do it is to have a great training program that should be matched with a great supplement program, and that's what we're providing. So check out phase1sups.com, and all the information is there. Wherever you're consuming this, make sure you subscribe, tap in, shoot me a message, and I'll answer any questions that you have about supplementation or anything student athlete related. It's what I've done for so long, so I have information you need, I have it. Just reach out, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. I look forward to the next one, and I'll see you then.